What's going on, Kansas City? How you doing today? It is me, one of your favorite people, I hope by now. I am Jennifer Nichols, and I am the host of Tavern Talk with Jen. Today is August the 6th, 2020. Can you believe it? Everything that has gone on this year, we are already in August, people. That means like 4 weeks away from fall. So let's figure this out and get it together, right? So, welcome everybody to the show. I just want to thank you all for joining in. I see you all kind of logging in one by one over here. Thank you. And we're just going to dive right into it because as always, I try to bring you guests on the show that can be encouraging, motivating, and also educational, and share some insight with us on what we need to do as entrepreneurs and or small business owners to sustain ourselves and grow ourselves. And knowledge is power. So I do have a very special guest that'll be on later on in about 8 minutes here, Dr. Jace Alston. That he likes to go by Dr. Jace, and we'll learn a little bit more about him later. But we got to jump into it, people, so we can get started, right? Because we still have our question of the week. We have what's going on with the tavern this week, tavern topics, and we still have the drink of the week. So let's just jump to it. All right, now I am growing, you guys. I am actually getting to the point to where I had to go buy more chairs this weekend to take care of all the seating. I actually had kind of a line by the tavern, had to do some to-go options, and I don't always want that to be the case. I'm super excited about it, but I hope everybody that comes down understands that I'm super dedicated into making sure that everyone has a good time and we can all be comfortable. And I'm loving every minute of it. And I just want you all to know that I did get more seating, Cassian. Hey, if you watch this. So with that being said, I also want to let everybody know the blends of the week. This week, as always, we will have Cherry Limeade, our most popular blend. And I'm actually going to bring back Bahama Mama. I've been missing it. I'm actually going to make it again tonight. I know I made it a little while ago, a few months ago, but I missed it. Miko, if you're watching, I'll have it this weekend. Chantel, if you're watching, I'll have it this weekend as well. And then also the Blue Lagoon. I sold out of the Blue Lagoon on Friday and Saturday like it was hotcakes. So gonna bring that back. Make sure that it's available on the tavern. And again, I will be at 3900 Pennsylvania, Kansas City, Missouri, right outside of Westport, but on the edges of Westport, from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m., both on Friday and Saturday. Okay. So I look forward to seeing you all. Please come out. And if I haven't had a chance to meet you, I would love to. And we can just have a good time and hang out, right? Okay. One more thing to talk about on Tavern Topics. I told you all on last week that I started a Whiskey and Wine Wandering Tavern channel on YouTube. So this video will simulcast at the same time. It won't be live on YouTube. It will upload shortly thereafter. So if you ever want to go back and archive and I have to scroll through the Facebook page, they are automatically, and only the Tavern Talk discussions are on the Whiskey and Wine Wandering Tavern channel. So you can go there on YouTube and find all these. If there's a particular guest that you want or a recipe you want to look up, that would be the place to go. All right, trying to keep up, people. It gets a little bit difficult, but I enjoy every moment of it. Hi, Miss Nicole. How are you today? Always good to see you. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move on to the question of the week. So like the last couple of weeks, I have been making you all kind of think about it, do some research and look some things up. So this one is no different. But this one's kind of fun. So this is going to be a first. Whoever can answer the question correctly and first will win. So get ready. Don't know how you all do your research, but it may require some, it may not. For some of us that lived through that time, I'm a little old, telling my age. But with that being said, the question of the week is, and I don't know why I keep saying with that being said, here we go. The biggest tour ever known to man, launched in 1984 here in Kansas City. Who knows who that was and where? I mean, huge tour. I'm giving it away in 1984, people. So the first person who can jump in with the answer to that question will win this week's blend, which is going to be Bahama Mama, and a Tavern Talk with Jen t-shirt, which I am picking up the winners t-shirts. I got a call from my girl Carletta with Crown Printing, who I like to plug every week, who does my t-shirts for me, all my graphic tees. She does them. She does an amazing job. She now is doing masks, so we're moving into the merch side of things now, folks, so stay tuned for that. But she does all that for me. I'll repeat the question one more time. The biggest tour ever known to man, I added that in there, launched in 1984 right here in Kansas City. Who knows who and where? Okay, I'm going to leave it up here for just a couple minutes, not very long though, so it doesn't interrupt our guest as he is speaking. But don't forget, if someone is on here and started a watch party, I cannot see your responses if you are watching from a watch party. You have to make your way over to the Whiskey and Wine page here on Facebook in order to post your responses, okay? So if you're there, I'm going to read the question one more time, and then we're going to move into our drink of the week. The biggest tour ever known to man launched in 1984 here in KC. Who knows who that was and where? You halfway there, Nicole. You halfway there. And also, I want the name of it. I know I'm throwing this in there, but give me the name of the tour. Name of the tour, who it was, and where. All right. So I'm going to take that down. And we're going to move into our drink of the week. My favorite portion, almost sometimes, but you know, people, I love what I do. So today we are going to make Bahama Mamas again. And I feel like we kind of will do a throwback Thursday thing on the drink, only because I really, really, really like it. And I really, really wanted one. So I'm being a little bit selfish. And I'm going to go ahead and make that drink. Okay. All right. So I have my ingredients here. My brother and I've had to move inside because of the heat interfering with the connection and the internet and things like that. And been so frustrating. Okay. It's been so frustrating that almost, Pam, not quite. Um, it was so frustrating because I feel like I'm inside and I'm not in my element. So I'm gonna figure something out. If y'all come up with some ideas, send them to me. Let me know. And yeah, we'll go from there. All right. I have the answer on the screen. If I can get two people to combine their answers, we might can come up with the results. Okay, so the Bahama Mama. Bahama Mama has 4 ingredients, okay? And we're gonna keep it simple, being, trying to cut down on waste, eco-friendly over here. We are going to start with our glass, and then we have 8 ounces, 4 ounces of pineapple juice, and 4 ounces of orange juice in this cup. And I also have I added a little something in there to put my spin on it, people. I got to keep some things to myself so you guys will continue to buy my blends. So the more basic recipe is 4 ounces of orange juice, 4 ounces of pineapple juice. We're going to pour that directly into my cup. That way. Then we have 2 ounces of a dark rum. Remember, when you're doing these rums, don't go far off the mark. Keep it Am I back? Everybody see me now? Yay! Okay. I am back. Sorry, everyone. I don't know. Hi, okay. All right. So I'm not gonna go back because I only have a few more minutes to get my very special guest in here. So you're gonna have to rewind to find out how to make this drink, and we're gonna have to go from there because I'm ready to jump into this. I'm excited. All right, so now without any further ado, I'm gonna play this small clip so you all have an idea what it is that we are going to discuss this evening. I have again Dr. Jace Alston on, and immediately following his clip about the topic of discussion, he'll be here live with us, everyone. So just be patient. And here we go.
Good afternoon, Kansas City. My name is Jason Alston, also known as Dr. Jace, and I am a research librarian for UMKC as well as an instructor for the School of Library and Information Science at the University of Missouri. And I'm just wondering, have you ever found yourself wanting to start a business and therefore needing to gather information on your customer base, on your potential markets, and on the industry itself, and you just didn't know where to start? You see these $1,000 research publications on markets by Googling, and you're like, I can't afford to buy that. What am I supposed to do? Well, your local libraries are here to help. And so we are going to discuss this Thursday how to use your local libraries, your local public libraries, and also the library at UMKC in order to gather some preliminary data to be informed as to who your market is, what they want, their spending habits, etc., etc. So let's have a good chat today. Look forward to seeing you all 6 p.m. tonight.
All right. Here we go.
Good evening.
Hello. Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing good. Let me see if I can actually center myself with this camera here. Okay, I think this is a little better. We got it. All right. How are
There
you
we
doing?
go. I'm back online. I don't know what happened. I dropped there apparently through the recipe portion of it, but I will tell you all it's quite delicious. So, but we'll move forward. So I'm so glad to have you on, Dr. Jace. Just a little background to everyone. Dr. Jace was actually one of the people who came to the Tavern, I would say probably about 4 weeks ago. I think it was my second weekend. And he comes up and he's just like, wow, this is really cool and real positive. And, you know, you're 2 weeks into it. You don't know how people are going to receive you. So when someone just takes the time to come over and have kind words to say, it goes a long way. So that's initially how we met. And then he must have enjoyed his blend because he came back and got another one. So I guess it was all encompassing. And we had a discussion. We got to talking about small businesses, BOB businesses in particular. And so now we're going to go ahead and let him run with it. He has some input on for you young entrepreneurs or even if you've been in business for a while, really good information. And I'm actually going to big screen you and let you roll with it and take over from here.
Okay, cool. Well, as has already been stated, I go by Dr. Jace, the real name Jason Alston, originally from North Carolina, and I've been, actually today is my work anniversary, so I've been with UMKC now for 2 years, and I started, I'm in a joint appointment, so I work for both UMKC and for Mizzou. So basically what I wanted to talk about today is just, I want people to be aware that there's information out there for them for free. By the way, if you need to interrupt me to ask a question or anything, please do, because I can ramble, especially if you need to get me back on topic.
Okay, I got you.
So when you're starting up, and I'm actually friends with Nika Cotton, who I believe was featured last week, and she just started a new business, Soul Centric City, and I actually helped her with some of her business research for that, free of charge. And that's the thing, what libraries are in place to do, which is what people, I have to go back to the basics. What people don't understand is that libraries are not a place to check out books. That's part of what they do. But I think what's gotten lost, especially in the digital age, is that the real purpose of libraries is to make sure that people have access to information no matter their financial situation. So for instance, just as an old school example, if you were somebody who could not afford to subscribe to your local newspaper, or let's say you just didn't want to, forget about you couldn't afford it. Let's say you didn't want to subscribe to your local newspaper, then your library ends up being an option for you to still have access to your local newspaper without having to pay to subscribe. In that way, that's how democracy works. We have to be able to get information to all of the people in a democracy, to all the voters, to all the citizens, et cetera, et cetera. So libraries are in place to kind of even that playing field. Now, you might be asking yourself, why, that's all nice and everything, but when I'm talking about small businesses, what does that have to do with anything? What do libraries have to do with small business? And it's a lot, because it's not just about books. Now, libraries do have books on how to start businesses and everything. But I've noticed that a lot of people are still stuck in that pre-digital age mentality. And they're thinking to themselves that if it's not in book form, then a library can't help me. And that is absolutely incorrect. And so that's what I really, really want to start out with addressing tonight. So you have some options. For those of you who are in Metro Kansas City, I'm going to start talking about different resources and where to start in a moment. But what I wanted to do, I hope I don't get in trouble with myself doing this. Let's see. Do I have screen sharing capabilities?
You should.
Okay, I do see the share button, so I'm going to try to pull up something very quickly here. Okay. Let's see. Up. It is asking me. Please work.
Okay.
Okay, so is it sharing my screen right now?
Hold on. I might have to bring that screen. I don't see it, but it asked me if you could, and I said yes.
Yeah, I've got something showing up down here, and it's saying it's telling me stop sharing, like a button as an option. So it's acting as though I am, even though I don't see it. But that's okay. I'm just going to make this simpler for the time being, and we may have
other opportunities. Yeah.
Exactly. So what I will say is that, for one thing, anyone who's in the Metro Kansas City area can pretty much join Mid-Continent Public Library. You don't have to be in Mid-Continent's true service area, which is basically, I think, like Jackson County outside of Kansas City, as well as Clay and Platte counties or something of that nature. But if you live in Kansas City, or if you live in Johnson County, Kansas, you can still join Mid-Continent Public Library, because these three library systems, Mid-Continent Public Library, Kansas City Public, and Johnson County Public, they have reciprocal membership agreements. So if you can join one of them, if you're in the service area for one of them, then you can use all three. The reason that this is important, and that this is no slight, by the way, this is no slight to Johnson County, this is no slight to Kansas City Public. But for instance, if you live on the Kansas side and you live in Johnson County, you would still be best served. Of the three library systems, Mid-Continent Public Library has actually I would say, invested the most into their business resources. And again, that's no slight to the other two. This is just how libraries are. Different libraries have different strengths and different things that they can invest in. And Mid-Continent Public Library, they have two business specialists. So they have a business librarian, and their business librarian, their name is Kelly Head. And then they also have a business outreach specialist, and her name is Morgan Perry. So for one thing, they have two dedicated full-time um, employees who do work as far as supporting small businesses and supporting entrepreneurs.
Okay.
The other piece of this is that Mid-Continent Public Library actually has a very well-defined and well-developed small entrepreneurship sort of, I don't want to call it an academy, but what they call it is the Square One Small Business Services. And if you go to, and you can Google that, by the way. So to anyone who's watching this, just make a note to yourself to Google this, and you might be very impressed by what you see. So Google, again, that is Square One Small Business Services at Mid-Continent Public Library. So not only are they giving you access to various databases, but they are showing you how to use them. They will connect you to other business people in the, in the metro, so you can have partnerships and everything. I think COVID has slowed this down, but they used to have classes every now and then, just free classes you could attend based on entrepreneurship and those sorts of things. And I think right now, like I was looking, of course, prepping for this, I was looking at Square One Small Business Services, and it looks like it's not as active as it had been, but I think that's just due to COVID. COVID is really doing a number on library services right now, on everybody right now,
Right.
but specifically library services. So that is a great place for you to go. Even if you live, I want to reiterate this, even if you live in Kansas City or you live in Johnson County, and so Mid-Continent isn't your default library system, I do recommend you join if you're part of the reciprocal agreement coverage. And I also recommend that they be a place for you to start. You can actually, they have like a live chat feature, Mid-Continent Public does, or you can call them, or you can email them and ask to be connected to their business specialists and or to the Square One Small Business Services. Okay.
Okay.
Now, one thing that the big thing that we need to keep in mind here is that this is about cost savings. Now, I was very disappointed to find out when I was prepping earlier this afternoon. Mid-Continent actually used to have a resource called Statista. And Statista is a very expensive resource, but it gives you all of the statistical data that you can use to find out about consumer habits and about people who live in certain municipalities or certain areas of the country and what their habits, spending habits and all that are. Statista is a very neat resource, and again, it's very expensive. And in fact, if you Google, like for instance, another thing you could Google after I'm off, if you Google Kansas City Chiefs, there is a dossier for Kansas City Chiefs offered through Statista. If you just Google it, you will see that that dossier costs $495. But when Mid-Continent had the access, you could get that same dossier just through your membership with no cost.
Oh, wow.
And right. And that is the thing. So when you look at, there are a lot of business databases out there, Merchant Online, IBIS World, Reference USA, BizMiner. There are tons and tons of them. Mintel, they're one of my favorites. There are a ton of business databases out there, but the thing is, because people will tell me, they'll be like, oh, I Googled and I got to that. And usually when you Google, you will get to a partial report. What they do is they bait you through Google. You will get a partial report, and then you will be offered an opportunity to buy the full report. And the full reports are never cheap. I've seen like 2-page full reports that were not even that in depth, and the company still had the nerve to try to charge $90 for it.
Right.
And I've seen like there've been like and this might be up your alley a little bit. One of my students actually at Mizzou, where we have this database called Mintel at Mizzou, and unfortunately, we don't have it at UMKC. Flagships a lot of times get more, more resources than other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so I had a young student who was actually starting. She was making bitters, bitters for like
For
for
drink.
drinking and everything. Yeah. And she approached me because she saw worked with her previously, and she came and found me, and she was just like, "Is there any way for me to get this report for free?" And the report that she Googled, this database company was wanting $3,000 for this Mintel. I mean, not for this Mintel report, just for this report on bidders. And I told her, so another reason why you want to, this is as an aside, another reason why you want to use your business librarian resources is because there's a network of business librarians. So for instance, if there's a question that I can't answer, there is a listserv called the BizLib listserv, which is Business Librarian Listserv. And there are 2,000 librarians on this listserv from around the country.
Okay.
And when I get stumped, I go to that listserv, and usually within a day, I get the answers I need after I get stumped. So because we network with each other, we are then able to help our patrons a little better. But getting, oh, go
So
ahead.
can I jump in? So we've talked a lot about the necessary need of reporting, but specifically, what areas do we need to focus on once we get there? And then the other question to that was, with COVID, are we able to access these things online with some of these libraries? Are they open to the public now, or?
I'm going to answer that second question first,
Okay.
actually. Okay, so as far as COVID, remote access, and whether libraries are open, the answer to the 4 libraries that I'll be talking about, the answer is yes, with limited hours. UMKC has not opened their library yet, but I think the date is either the 17th or the 21st. But either way, the library will have some limited hours, and they'll have some limited staffing once they open back up. Their UMKC is under a phased reopen, and so the library, I think, is largely part of stage 3 or phase 3. But there has been a slight reopening during phase 2, which is what we're in right now.
Okay.
And the same is actually true with those 3 public library systems. Mid-Continent is, well, I know that Johnson County has all of their branches open on limited hours. The websites will tell you this for Kansas City Public and for Mid-Continent, but I do believe that both of those library systems have some of their branches open for limited hours, but not all of them. But their website will tell you which branches are open and what hours they are open.
Okay.
However, and that's why I say join all 3 of those library systems, because they have some duplication. They have a lot of duplication, but all 3 of those public library systems, and you can join all 3, again, if you live in the metro, they all have unique business resources that the other 2 don't have. Mm-hmm. And they can be accessed online through a login. So and I've got even though I live in Kansas City, Missouri, I've got my Johnson County Public Library card here. And so when I do want to use their resources in particular, yes, I can log in and just go. And so that's how that works. What was the first question? I'm sorry.
So we were talking about the reporting and and the places to obtain the information, but what specifically, as a small business owner, where do I start? We talked about those 3 topics of
yes,
what we need to do to get started, because we're going over on time. We have to talk about potential. No, you're fine. And then we have to talk about the potential of being able to host some of these later on more informatively.
Great. Okay, so how you get started. So there are basically, and you may want more information than just these types, but I, as a business librarian, know which databases get you which types of information. And so that's why I would recommend that you see me, or again, see Kelly Head or Morgan Perry with Mid-Continent Public.
Okay.
But there are 4 distinct types of data that you are going to want to begin gathering as you are trying to determine what you will do business-wise, and as far as location and all these things.
Okay.
So what you want your industry research. And so your industry would be basically, what you're selling, and it'll be pretty broad. So again, I mentioned Nika Cotton and Soul City. Sorry, not Soul City.
So
So
Mississippi.
thank you, thank you. My hometown is called Soul City,
You're
so
gonna be
that's
in
why.
trouble.
Yeah, I don't need her to come after me. I'm sorry. Love you, Nika. I'm sorry.
Me too.
So yeah, and when she was starting her research, the thing was there's the tea industry itself is actually pretty vague, and you're not going to find, like, if you go in the IBIS world, you're not going to find so much on the tea industry. But because I'm familiar with the databases, I can broaden that out, and then you end up with like basically a coffee and tea sort of
Okay.
industry, and that's what you're researching. So you want industry research, and included in that, you're going to want SWOT analyses, you're going to want trends, all of these things. And you can get that through a business librarian assisting you. The second thing you're probably going to want to pursue is your consumer research. And so that's when you can use databases like Reference USA. Mintel, again, is a good database for that. And these databases, what they do is they can give you demographic data and other types of data on just various locations, various actual locales. So for instance, in Reference USA, I can search the metro, or I can search Jackson County, or I can search Kansas City proper, or Independence, or any of these things, and I can get information on what companies are out there that could serve as competition within the local area. I can get information on how much those companies are making. I can get demographic data. So for instance, if I think that I've got a product that might sell better to African Americans, or to women, or to any sort of demographic, then yeah, so I can look at things like BizMiner and those sorts of things for that, as well as Mintel. And so that's good for identifying your consumer base. And you've got to know your consumers in order to market to them and in order to actually serve them. And then the other things that you're going to want to look at are company research, so that you can actually do all the processes that you need to do in order to start your company. And you will be able to know, like, specifically what type of information you need for your particular type of company, which if you've got a tea shop, of course, it's different from owning, say, a recording studio.
Or bar. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I'm sorry.
No, I said they are all different. Go ahead. I'm soaking it up. I'm writing notes. Go ahead.
And the last thing, and this will be a little more difficult for the small business owner, but it's still something that can be worked on. You do want your competitor research, and you can learn about your competition through actually a lot of it through things like Reference USA, which you used to identify your consumers. You can also identify your competitors. Mergent Online is one of the best databases for identifying competitors. The only issue is that Mergent Online, they stick with publicly owned companies. And so if you need some information on private companies, then I would have to go to a database like Priveco or something like that in order to pull that up for you. So there are a lot of databases and a lot of needs. And that's why I do recommend that you talk things through with a business librarian. And so, and I'll stop talking after I say this to allow you to ask more questions. But one thing that I do want to mention here, so I know somebody is probably thinking to themselves, okay, he's saying all this, but he's a librarian employed by UMKC. So isn't he serving faculty, staff, and students at UMKC? And am I allowed to access the business databases that UMKC has if I'm not affiliated with the university? And so I definitely want to answer that. First of all, I am a community resource. People are allowed to come in from the community. COVID is affecting this, and I would have to double check exactly how COVID is affecting this. But yes, community members, before COVID, community members who were not affiliated with the university were still coming in. They didn't speak to me too much, but I think they spoke to my predecessor a lot, Chris LeBeau, who has since retired. But yeah, anyone from the community can come in, can make an appointment with us. And we cannot, as the university, we cannot offer remote access to our business or any of our databases to people who are not affiliated formally with the university, because that's paid for by tuition dollars. So the remote access, because it's paid for by tuition dollars, the only people who benefit from that are students, faculty, and staff. However, anyone from the community, again, can come in and use those databases on site. So once we open back up fully and we're open to the public and everything, you do not need to be a student or affiliated with UMKC to come into UMKC, use one of the community computers, and then just say, I need some help with business databases. I or one of my colleagues, likely me, because I'm the one who kind of defaults on the business librarianship. But one of us will come and will assist, and you can use the computer to your heart's content, and you can print things out and do what you need to do your research. And we do have some databases at UMKC that the public libraries don't have, and vice versa. So I would say start with UMKC. We'll start with Mid-Continent, look at UMKC, and then also from there, KCPL and Johnson County, get a good feel for what they offer as well. Okay, now I'll turn it back over.
All right. Good job. That was a lot of information. I look, telling you. So, to everyone watching, we went over a lot of information, and there's a couple things I want to point out. The reason this information is so important is if you are a business owner or an entrepreneur that is trying to create your business plan, or you're trying to find investors, or you just want to learn more about your product, how your product sales, or your idea, it's good to know before you get into it if it's a good idea or not, right? So especially, I mean, even in time, especially in times like this where our whole new way of doing things is different, and you can't just jump into things like you may have done. You shouldn't do it anyway, but there's different components with COVID going on now, that to be able to have a resource to not only get the information and the data that you need, have someone like Dr. Jace able to answer questions or help you, point you in the right direction to find this information out so that you don't set yourself up for failure. Like, again, this platform is about how we help each other to sustain our businesses and grow them generationally. So in order to do that, you need to know what you're doing before you do it, right? So those three things, he talked about them. Um, he has even gone as far as, which again, this is huge for people that may be interested in this. He and I had a conversation. He's willing to do one-on-one video, not one-on-one, but group video workshops, I guess you could call them, breaking down those four topics that he discussed, being the research, industry research, the competitive research report, demographics information, and drill down and help you figure out the best way to obtain that information in those three categories to get you on your way. So it's a lot of information. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of reading. It's a lot of research. But again, it's worth it. And being on the flip side of it, I know coming from corporate America, and I talk about it all the time, there are so many life lessons, and everything that he touched on are things that in my role that I had to do SWOT analysis on my competitors, and I had to see what the products were out there, and are we competitive? Are we overpriced? Are we underpriced? Like, these are things that we had to look into. I had to research at least at minimum once a year, but typically twice with the season. So it is something that needs to be done in order to um, have a leg up in whatever industry you're doing. So,
And can I mention two
yeah.
things
Yeah.
quickly based on what you just discussed there? So, for one thing, you mentioned business plans. This is something, Mid-Continent is actually a good resource for that. So Mid-Continent actually has a database offered through the company Gale, which is one of our library database vendors. Gale has actually a database that gives you sample business plans as well as tutorials on creating business plans and that sort of thing. So you can get information and guidance on business plans from resources like Gale. And again, you would probably want to reach out to Mid-Continent's business personnel, Kelly Head and Morgan Perry for that. The second thing that I want to say really quick is that there is a database called lynda.com that is offered through Mid-Continent and I think also through Johnson County. And lynda.com is a database that offers free classes for different things that can give you competitive advantages. Like for instance, I know that one of the free classes that lynda.com offers is like affordable advertising for the small entrepreneur. And you can take that class and learn a few tips and tricks for advertising and getting the word out. And hopefully these are things that your competitors won't know, and that should hopefully give you at least a little leg up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So this was like super informative. I have to go back and see if there was any questions or anything. But is there? How do you want to move forward? I'll just give them. You and I will talk after, or over the next few days. I'm prepping for my weekend, so but we'll get together at some point and try to figure out how we can do these workshops and these intervals that work best for you. And then I'll let all the viewers know if they're interested. Hey, come on, this time, this day, Dr. Jason's going to be on to break this down for us, and we can move forward from there. Does that sound good to you?
Oh, that sounds perfect.
That sound good to everybody else? I hope so, because that's what we're going to do. All right. I don't have any questions. I'm kind of like in overload with, even though I started, there's still some steps I need to take for sure. But do you have any questions or anything that you want to, little nuggets you want to leave with us as we sign off?
The things that I do kind of want to leave with you are basically just contact information and what I can do. Okay, I think I can at least type in some things here. So tell me if this shows up, if you don't mind. What I'm about to do is try to, I put something in host chat. Maybe I don't have access to the public chat, so I don't know if the people are going to get that.
After, here, let me see. After this is over, you can go in and post into the feed.
Excellent. And I'll do that because the main things I want you all to have are the links to the Square One Business Center at Mid-Continent Public Library. And then also my predecessor, Chris LeBeau, she created what they call LibGuides, which are library guides to direct you to different resources. She created those for UMKC, but they're publicly accessible. They're just free over the open web. And those can be helpful with your research as well, as far as telling you where to go to find what information. But I will say my company email, and hopefully, therefore, if anybody needs to jot that down, then they can just rewind if I talk too fast or something like that. So to reach me, my contact information, and the best way to reach me, especially during COVID, is by email. And so my email address is austinj@missouri.edu. And my Austin is spelled a little differently. So it's A as in Apple, L as in Larry, S as in Sam, T as in Tim, O as in only, N as in Nancy. So it's austinj@missouri.edu. And that's how you can find me. And I'm perfectly, there might be a delay in me answering questions because I do prioritize students and other faculty, but I will definitely get back to you as soon as possible.
All right. That all sounds very exciting. All right. We got some good ideas. Looks like we have some interest for people who I know are either kicking around the idea or are brand new into small business. So hopefully we'll get a connection. All right, people. I'm going to go back big here. 1 second. Let me flip screens with you. Okay. All right, Kansas City, we are about to go ahead and check out of here. And there's a lot of follow up and things like that. If you have any questions, again, Dr. Jace has offered up his email address. But get out and get on it. Get some research in it. It is very helpful. In the meantime, come down and say hello to me on tomorrow and Saturday. I will be at 3900 Pennsylvania from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Come down, say hello, do a little dance, say hello, hang out. But other than
So
that,
we are stopping at doing the little dance, though, right? We're
yeah,
curious.
yeah.
Okay.
You knew where I was going with that, right?
Yes.
I mean, we can get down tonight, but anyway. So you all have a fantastic week. I will see you all next week, and we'll see who it's going to be. I got a couple people that are interested in getting on, so this thing is taking and building momentum. So thank you for everybody for watching, and I will see you all next week. God bless. Bye.